Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast, where a bunch of 30-something nerds talk about all things gaming and nerdy. We are your average enthusiasts that try our best to dive into all things games, shows, movies, anything nerdy that we indulge in. We celebrate our favorites, and we shit on the duds along the way. I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by Jordan, Trevor, and Daryl. Here is a taste of what your ear holes are going to get blasted with today.
That looks like Scorpion's mask off of Mortal Kombat.
We was all about that one.
That was the coolest thing. I was
the
like,
Rogue 100%
oh,
is a
shit.
This week's episode is entitled, Welcome to Our Sanctuary. It finally happened, and it is going to Diablo your minds. The hottest jam of the summer dropped by Lil Ith. And let me tell you, it's straight Hellfire. That's right, folks. We are back to kick off Season 5 to talk about the long-anticipated and very much good enough gaming welcomed Diablo 4. The latest installment from Blizzard, Activision, Xbox, Microsoft, who knows at this point, has actually taken the world by storm and for lots of reasons. So let's get into the good, the bad, and the demon mommy ugly about our most played game as a group in the last few months. Watch out for those flesh capes. It's good to be back.
Okay.
Was that not like our first experience with the game? Was like watching the intro cinematic and Lilith's like flesh cape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To Trevor's joke at that, that's what I named our clan. That's what I did our clan thing. Not all heroes wear flesh capes. That's our clan. So if everybody wants to join, that's how you got the right one.
Yeah, you found us.
Good enough flesh capes.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, it's first of all, it's good to be back. Welcome back.
Great.
Pop horns.
Everyone, thanks for waiting for us. We needed some time to play the game.
You play a game.
Play a game.
Yeah, any game.
I don't know about you guys, but June was absolutely stupid for me, like across the board.
So busy time.
Yeah, I don't know how we could have recorded if we even wanted to.
No, it wasn't going to happen.
No.
Chaos.
But we made it. We made it through, and we got a bunch of time to play Diablo 4. Now, you might consider us suckers, but we all bought the deluxe edition so we could play early together in person in an old school LAN party in Jordan's basement.
Yeah. Friday night in the basement.
Oh my god!
Snacks were there. We
had
pizza,
beer.
Yeah,
we had good snacks too. Now that we're adults, we can pay for the good snacks.
Exactly. You spring for the good stuff. So we set up in Jordan's basement from it was 4 in the afternoon to 2 in the morning. I think we all called it.
It was pretty late.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Called it.
It was a good shift. That's all I know.
Oh my god! Yeah, that was a solid shift, and we went in with, no expectations really, just excited to play.
Bright eyes and fresh backs. Then destroyed
which
by
slowly
punching on
deteriorated
chairs.
as the night went on.
Yeah.
You caught us lying on the floor at one point to stretch and
Yeah, I definitely have some photos of the full setup of the basement. Everybody laying down. All we were missing was the individual Pizza Hut boxes sitting on the chest.
And a sleeping bag.
Yeah, that's all we needed.
We were pretty close. We
were close.
Yeah. This was a very prepared for event. It was something we talked about, we planned. Jordan ended up going on vacation out east, and he left me a house key. And by left, it was more of a
demanded
strategic demanding.
I got Jordan to leave me a house key so that I could bring stuff in and set up beforehand, just so we wouldn't waste any time the night of doing all that shit.
Yeah.
So I had the 100-foot LAN cable already down in the basement. I had the the gigabit switch. I had my TV that I brought over. I had tables. I had my gaming, my chair here I brought with me.
Yeah, apparently my chairs aren't regulation size, so Kyle decided he needed to bring his own. So here we are.
Yeah.
I chose comfort.
It's fair.
Go with
Kyle
it.
just
It's
needs to
already it's
swivel.
molded. It's molded to his back.
If
Yeah.
anyone's watching this now, they can see. I can't.
That little
Okay.
ass groove. I just
Yeah.
gotta get
Perfect.
in it.
Perfect butt groove.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that. One special tidbit on the setup though. Jordan, having come back, putting in a long shift to travel, might have ended up finding a motion activated Halloween decoration in his pantry. The same
demon
one
clown.
that I left at Trevor's house when he moved in.
Oh man, I'm surprised that thing
because
survived.
I'm a
I almost
dick.
punched that thing through a wall, and they got me.
You're just lucky we put it where Kyle wanted to put it, not where I wanted to put it.
Oh yeah, you wanted to scare the shit out of my wife, and she would have murdered you.
that
She would have
that would
come
have been
for you in the night.
spectacular. Yeah.
I wanted
It's
to put it in their bedroom in this weird little nook cabin.
Yeah, that would not have gone well.
No,
Kyle was like, "No, somebody's gonna pee themselves," and I was like,
Yeah.
"That's the point."
That's
that's
kind of
funny.
what we're doing here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it
What?
certainly scared the shit out of me in the pantry. I was not expecting it at all. And it's a very like high, shrill screech sound.
Yeah.
And good God, yeah, that scared the hell out of me.
You got the people going.
You have to get
I
set the
Jordan, you have to
mood.
get a video of that so we can put that up for everybody.
I even coordinated with Jordan's girlfriend just to make sure that she wasn't the one that stumbled on it, because I'm a dick.
You're lucky, Linda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Dicks.
But anyways, I would call the LAN party a rousing success. We put in a good shift. We leveled quite a bit. We got very sidetracked by side quests, I found.
Yes.
No,
I don't think we.
That's
we didn't
not
read up-
us.
It doesn't sound like us at all.
We didn't read up on the pure optimization of like sprinting through the story and leaving side quests for later. We just like, oh, a dungeon.
We
Yeah.
were just
Let's do
so
it.
happy
Let's
to
do
play.
this.
We
Let's
did
do this.
It was
Oh,
like
hey, a
every
cellar.
dungeon and cellar we
Yeah.
saw
Guys, come
on
here.
the way to do side quests. We
Just to
didn't get
preface
out
for
of
anyone who has
Kyovashad
played,
for
we were like level 40 by the time we left Kyovashad, which is like
Act
by the
one,
time we left
level
Fractured
40.
Peaks, we were already almost
Yeah.
like the level you needed to beat the final boss of the story, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we did too much here.
Yeah.
Like,
we put in some time.
We were like the optimal
dabbled.
people. Like, you know, when like Blizzard Activision sat down, they're like, okay, so how are people going to play this game? And are people going to run through? Are they going to be like fresh eyed and just curious about everything? Like, that was us. We were the target
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
look at all this stuff you can do.
Yeah. And meanwhile, there's people who are like, I'm 100 hardcore already because I want my name on a statue.
yeah,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah,
To
that's
those
wild.
And
people.
like,
Yeah, that's
I
wild.
still
I
don't
fe-
even have a level 100. I don't even know how those people
No.
did that in like a week.
I feel like some people are in such a rush to like optimize and like stream these whatever builds that like they ruin it for everyone else. But and then they go online and they complain about it.
Yeah, there's nothing to do,
Oh,
man.
there's not enough to do. Like, bro, you have played 200 hours in a week and a half. Touch grass.
Like, go outside, see some
It's not
sun.
my fault you didn't go to sleep for 7 days. Like that's
Yeah.
that's on you, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm very curious some of the hours played for some of these very high people already
Oh,
that are
I'm
complaining
sure
about
it's
lack of
outrageous.
content.
There's
Yeah,
a few
it's
people I
gotta be
know for
outrageous.
sure. Like there was guys that were playing that first week. They were sleeping like 2 to 3 hours a night and like playing all day.
Yeah.
Absurd. I did see one Reddit post where someone has all 5 classes to level 100 already.
Yeah,
Wow.
that doesn't
If you have
surprise
friends,
me
though,
either.
I
And
mean,
then-
they just
Crazy.
patched that. But if you have friends,
Yeah.
like that makes it a lot easier if you already have high level friends. But
Someone on
True.
Reddit edited the photo so he had like all 5 of his classes level 100, and below it someone added an extra one with it just said 0 friends.
Nice.
zero
Yeah, I
time.
thought that was
good.
pretty good. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of a weird landscape of gaming because when you look at this, especially compared to like other open world games, like stuff we've talked about, Horizon, stuff like this has as much, if not more, stuff to do. right?
Yeah.
It's maybe
Yeah.
not as like
Yeah.
there's maybe not as much story because they're just chatting to a person and going killing things. It's not the same, but like it's weird. You're getting this like dichotomy where it's like I either want to play this super casual or someone's got to be able to crush it in like a week, and then they're like, "Yep, that was a good game. That's good. Like I'm done with it."
Dude,
now.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do appreciate the fact that this sequel basically just drops you on the map and is like, you can go wherever you want. If you want to go north, you can.
I did
If
like
you want
that
to
it
go
wasn't as
south,
linear.
like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the level scaling for that part of it, like the story or just like the free roam at the start, is actually pretty nice.
yeah,
Where you're like, I can go wherever I want, and like things kind of suck because like the power scaling and some of the complaints that people have, but at least you're like, well, everything feels equal.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's we've obviously come from. I mean, I'd say Daryl and I, we've come from Diablo 3. That would be our like experience.
Yeah.
Whereas Kyle and Trevor, you put a ton of life into Diablo 2.
Several hours.
So yeah, like you guys can, compare the apples and oranges to, it sounds like Diablo 4 is kind of a nice blend between 2 and 3.
Yeah. I found that Diablo like 4 is kind of goes back a bit more to the Diablo 2 roots of things. Diablo 3 was much more like arcadey.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
Right,
Like there was a lot.
yeah.
You could run through mobs. You would feel super powerful very, very quickly, but like the little tiny gear change, like you could sort out your gear a lot faster in Diablo 3, I feel, than in Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Diablo 4
100%.
feels like much more of a grind to get the gear that you need, which is a bit more of a touchback to Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Just doing runs
Especially
and trying to find
with the way they're
best
doing
things.
aspects and
Well, I think the largest change that I appreciated coming from Diablo 3 was the fact that there's no like basic health regen for characters.
Totally.
Depending on
Not
certain
until later
builds
on,
and
you have to get it through moves and things like that. But
Mhm.
that was different. Like that was very
it
different.
completely changes the play style for Diablo 3 players. Because you're now having to really focus on what your health is in the middle of boss fights, and those large mobs. You can't just like run in head first, sit there, do a couple special moves, and like your health just never moves.
head down, eyes closed, can't lose.
Yeah. Full heart.
So I appreciated that for sure. It definitely created more of a challenge, which I liked. Even playing solo versus multiplayer, there's different facets to it for sure.
Yeah.
Daryl, how did you feel about it?
At first I was completely like graphically and just like the feel of the game. Initially, I was like, "This is breathtaking!" Like in comparison to 3, like 3 again, arcadey, looked a little bit more cartoony-esque, like at times.
Yeah.
A lot of things were like accentuated, kind of like your superhero trope kind of things, like just body type and movements, and some of the move sets and things like that you were capable of doing was a little bit out there and whatever. With this one, at the beginning, like I was playing a rogue and I felt like it was more like of an approach to realism that they took. They went again, going back to Diablo 2. It felt more like it. It looked and played more like it. Inventory, everything, but man, the gear is stunning. Like the details,
just
on
like the actual visualization of your character in gear
is amazing.
Amazing. And the transmog system, I find, is way better.
Yep.
Because if you find that gear piece that you really, really like, you unlock it once if you
junk it.
Yeah, if you
just
just
get to the blacksmith and junk it, and it's like you have it. It's that part of the game has been incredible, and I look forward, because even with just the season 1 patch, more stuff has come out, more gear is available for every class now. So like you're just going to discover more and more as it goes on. And like I had, just to preface, like for our listeners that don't know, I started with a rogue. Kyle,
I started with a barbarian.
Jordan,
Druid,
and Trev.
I was a sorcerer.
Yeah, so like we all had different classes. We were all watching each other's gear kind of change and grow and stuff, and I was blown away with what was being done there and the designs and everything. So I thought that was really cool.
And even just like the color palettes that you can change with it too. I know that Daryl also has a necromancer that's pretty high. He's put a bunch of hours into. The amount of gear pictures that we've gotten from Daryl, it's like, oh my god, guys, look at this.
Can't help it.
People at Blizzard, it's the same thing. People at Blizzard love the necromancer. They're like, hey, who's the coolest character? The necromancer. Let's make him the coolest by far. And then everyone's just like, oh,
it
my
got the
best
best looking gear.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Going through, I would say now that we've all like dabbled in different classes and stuff, I would say it's a tie between the druid and Trevor's sorcerer for like the most booty level
just weird
loot.
The druid with your like flappy wings and like bird beak.
I would say for about 80% of my playthrough with the druid, I just looked like that fat homeless dude in the trailer park. Like just gut hanging out, tattered clothing. I've got, is it mud? Is it blood? Like, what the fuck is this?
Go on.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say those were the worst ones. Like Kyle's got some good gear on his guy too.
Yeah, the barbarian helmets and stuff have been very, very cool.
Those are cool.
I always look forward to unlocking new ones just to see how it is. There's a super goofy one that is this like weird like turban with a point at the top. I skipped that one pretty quick, but there's like some full face mask ones. Like think about
like skull
masks. Remember back to the movie Gladiator?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one dude in the arena he fights that has like the lion face that pulls down. There's a few similar to that, and it's like, ooh, that's dope.
I'm super curious between the sorcerer. Like, I'm curious about the gender differences in the gear because I haven't really looked at some of those. Because the sorcerer versus the sorceress would be interesting because anyone who's played like especially Breath of the Wild, there's a huge section of that game where Link has to dress up as like a Gerudo woman. And so he's got like the little like face mask thing. It's a weird section of the game. You're essentially cross-dressing to like sneak in because they only let women in.
It's okay. It happens in Final Fantasy 17. Yeah, Cloud
exactly.
It's just a normal thing.
But I just think that where they put the little like cloth, the little like hung cloth across their face, that's like 90% of the sorceress's like headgear. It's just like, are you just hiding something under there? Yeah, just like, like an old 70s like beaded door curtain. Like just in front of your face. That's what half of them are. I'm like, well, like you guys kind of reused the concept a couple of times. So you could have done something, a little different.
Like I got super excited about the necromancer stuff, but nothing got me more excited than when I unlocked the helmet transmog for the rogue that looks like Scorpion's mask off of Mortal Kombat.
We was all about that one.
That was the coolest thing. I was
the
like,
rogue 100% is
shit.
The rogue is like a ninja Mortal Kombat character. That's 100% how they designed that character.
Oh, yeah.
So
they did a really good job with that one too. I'm curious to see. I mean, we only got 5 character classes at launch. I know some people were, kind of fussy on that, but like with the sheer amount of loot and all the designs, I'm so excited to see what they do for new character classes and what kind of loot.
No, it's gonna be a Blood Knight. Pretty sure it's gonna be
Blood Knight.
Blood Knight came on the Diablo portal.
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest letdowns. A bunch of articles came out. Blood Knight for Diablo for the Immortals. It's like, fuck you guys.
I know some people have done some digging because I think they found because in one of the it was like a coffee mug. There was like Lil Ith's logo, and then there was the different logos of the characters, and someone like figured out what they all were. And the last one, I think they related it back to Diablo 3, and it wasn't a Crusader. So it's something else. And so that's where they're like, oh, maybe they're going to take the Blood Knight from
Witch
Immortal
Doctor.
and like make it better. Oh, God.
Witch Doctor.
Worst Diablo character ever, the Witch Doctor.
Give me the Blood Knight.
I would be shocked if the Witch Doctor made it back. But Blood Knight would be good. Crusader would be good. I'm just
if not,
sad
go
that
back even further. Go get a paladin. Bring.
Yeah, I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
So like jumping into it a bit deeper here, what did you guys think of the change to the skill tree and the Paragon system? Because they are totally different.
intimidating as fuck.
I completely agree.
Yes.
Like having to go in, for one, I'm a min-maxer optimization kind of guy. I've read the guides. My barbarian right now, I respec to whirlwind, and I was like, I need to do this right so I can actually hold my own when we're playing tier 3.
Yeah.
Right?
With 4 people and everyone's got 400% like health and everything like that.
Yeah, with that new patch, they upped the percentage of enemy health per player.
Even more.
We're already struggling with that, like during
oh my god
gameplay on tier 2.
Yeah, it's bad. It's tough because it definitely feels like they very lightly hold your hand for the first 50 levels, where they're like, here's the tree, here's take your pick, do whatever you want, right? And then they gently walk you to a cliff and boot you off of it. Right? They're like, here's the Paragon boards.
Spartan
like,
kick you off.
Here's the Paragon boards. Here's your glyphs. Here's your sigils. Here's the stuff you got to do. You're like, what? And there's like very little to no explanation about most of this stuff. You're like, what?
It's not great.
Sigil is.
What the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah.
And then you get to the boards.
I had to watch like multiple YouTube videos just to figure out what the fuck the Paragon boards were and how it works.
This is what I'm thankful that there's people that have put 1,000 hours into the game already and have maximized the way to do it. But it's just like, holy shit, they're like, okay, here's your first Paragon board. You're like, oh, this is fun. And then you get to the edge of like, which board do you want? What rotation do you want it in? What do you want?
How
the fuck am I supposed to know?
Also, if you want to infuriating.
If you want to refund this point, it's going to cost you 4 billion gold because the inflation in this game is insane.
Yeah. Oh, you want to respec? Fuck you.
That's the, like, if we're getting into the gripe side, like that is the one thing where the Paragon board I thought is super convoluted, and if you use it right, you become extremely powerful.
Very cool.
It puts a little bit more focus on like spending your points wisely, which I think they wanted to do a better job of in comparison to 3, where 3 was just like the slider bar, just like put it into the whatever stat you need the most kind of thing. But to me, there's also like a nice piece of that simplicity from 3 that this is completely lost. This game, the skill tree is more intense. Fantastic. I love the skill tree in this game. I didn't at first, but as the game has gone on longer and I've played more, I'm definitely a fan of the skill tree. But the Paragon board is terrible. It's a terrible design. Every board that you put on, you should be able to fill it and then move on to the next one, and not like worry about, I've only spent enough points to get a legendary note on one board and I filled this up, so now I've made a complete mistake. I have to go back and wipe everything that I've done. Fuck that. Like that is so dumb. So like, just put the board up, make you fill it, and then you get the next one. Like that part to me is so silly. Like,
it makes it almost impossible. Like if you're trying to figure out a specific build to use for your character, unless you look at a guide from somebody that's already done it, you have no way of knowing what track and what direction you should be going to optimize that board. To Daryl's point, you can't just fill up the board 100% with your points. Otherwise, every subsequent board after that is fucked. So
that to me is like, that was a bust for me. I liked the more autonomous situation with the Paragon board and like being able to focus on stuff, but I just think that level, like having 4 boards unlockable now as it stands, and just having to track and map and then putting the right glyph in and everything, like you've made this so meta and so intense on top of going back to the Diablo 2 like gear situation where you're now collecting the gear with the right affix on it. You need the right aspect. You have to farm the aspects as well. Some of them are in the codex, some of them are not. Like you've made your game too grindy, and that's from me.
From the guy that platinums JRPGs.
Exactly. Yeah, the JRPG
You've made
guy.
the game too grindy for me, which is for some guys, this is the game. Like, this is your game.
Yeah.
This is everything. This is all you're going to play for months, and that's fine. And you're probably going to be one of the strongest players by the end of it. But for like the rest of us that are here to achieve, maximize, get all the trophies, do all the facets of the game, and just complete like the overall feel of the game, you've made it impossible for me to do that without going to the level of that guy, which that's a problem for me.
Well, it makes it inaccessible for newer players, and that's always my concern because, you know, like I actually had a coworker of mine, you know, a few weeks ago. He was like, you know, I'm kind of looking into Diablo, but I'm not sure where to start. And I told him, I was like, honestly, start with Diablo 3. Like, if you've never played a Diablo game and you've never played this style of game, I was like, Diablo 3 is going to be very accessible for beginners. And it's going to, you know, hold your hand a little bit more. It's going to be easier to figure out what you're doing in the end game. And then if you decide that you really like the franchise or like this style, then jump into Diablo 4, you know, because then you've already got that baseline to kind of figure out what's going on. But yeah, for somebody that's never played a Diablo game or an isometric RPG like this, once you hit that end game stuff and the Paragon boards and everything else, yeah, you know, Daryl's 100% correct. It is, even for me, like, it was such a learning curve. And I was asking you guys a ton of questions. I watched YouTube videos. And, like, even still to that point, I was struggling to figure out just, like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I still don't know, dude.
Well,
like,
there's also like 8 different damage types. And, like, it's really just like optimizing your build of, like, do I do bleed? Do I do cold damage, right? And you're trying to make a map of like, if I do this, I get this, and if I do this, I get this, right? And it's all about maximizing those numbers to just do a bajillion damage, feel good about yourself. You know, numbers get bigger, everyone's happy.
Big number make happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The funny thing about all of this though is that I don't know if you guys remember, like Trevor, did you play Diablo 3 at release too?
It was hot garbage.
So
it wasn't good.
It was a dumpster fire. It was completely different than what it is now.
Yes.
Which is my hope.
That's the hope.
Gonna fix some of these things.
This is my Jack in the water holding onto the door of the Titanic, just hoping and praying.
Nice.
Make room for me.
Yeah.
On that note, though, at the time of recording this, the season 1 patch is just coming out.
Yeah.
And it is scary. It's not great. There's a lot of nerfs to a lot of things, there's a lot of feedback that is essentially saying they're making the game less fun.
Yeah. They're making the game harder. And it's really funny because the way I've looked at it when they're like doing all these nerfs, it's like they look at it like everyone is playing this game like they're level 90 to 100 and they're like purely optimized. Yeah. That's just like, I still have to get to that point. And it's just like the slog to get there is what's killing me. Of just like,
isn't the stat like the amount of time it takes to get from 1 to 83 is the same time that it gets from 83 to 100?
1 to 91.
Yeah.
The same experience from 1 to 91 is how much it takes to get from 92 to 100.
And the thought process there is that you're doing higher tier nightmare dungeons and they're trying to optimize some of that experience. But the issue is the way that they've also done the like the leveling system and the way that everything caters to your level, like whether it's, plus 1 or 2 levels depending on the world tier, is that like you're always underpowered. And that's a lot of the problems people have talked about is just like, in Diablo 2 or even Diablo 3, be like, sweet, I found this good item. It's going to last me for the next like 10 to 15 levels. Like I found this like wickedly good item. It's going to carry me. Right now it's just like, like we were talking about this, you're like, oh, should I imprint an aspect? Should I socket this? I'm like, why?
No.
It's like, I'm going to maybe find something every 10 minutes if I'm lucky that's going to replace it because everything kind of sucks all the time.
And the other struggle here is that, like, what else do you do for endgame? Like, if you think back to Diablo 3, you could run greater rifts and try and push for higher and higher rifts, right?
Yep.
Like, there was still some level of accomplishment that you could get by optimizing your gear and getting like a little bit better.
And Paragon was also endless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do now once you hit 100?
Well,
Start a new character.
you would start another character, but you're basically working to get to that nightmare level 100 dungeon, which is extremely difficult. And this newest patch for season 1 making that even harder. Everything is one-shotting you at like level 64, which is nuts for some of these guys that have had like optimal builds and crazy gear.
Yeah. Well, and it gets to the meta thing again, where like really what you're doing is you're doing, the level 100 nightmare dungeon, but really a lot of it is min-maxing. Like you're just stat buffing shit for the next 30 hours. And like, if that's what you're into and you enjoy that kind of thing, I think for a lot of content creators, that's perfect for guys like them. But for those people that want to come in and, play for an hour or play for 2 hours and just feel like they've gotten some progression, I do feel like a little bit of that has been lost even from Diablo 3. Just because your gear is rotating so frequently, and really a lot of it isn't good unless I imprint an aspect on it.
Well, if you have a certain build and you're trying to do a certain nightmare dungeon level, then you have to. You have to have a build. You have to be like, you have to have high damage output based off of like what build you have. And so that, like, I agree. And I think that's kind of the downfall. This game is tailored and works and is beautiful for the meta gamer right now.
Yes.
Like, and they definitely, with that patch, hammer down on the meta gamer, which makes it even harder for the good enough gamer like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Put you in your place, and I'm also going to shit all over you guys because
Well, it's always a bit of a concern when like the developer has to come out, a few weeks after launch and reassure people like, hey, if you want to play other games, like you can, like, you don't have to just put all your time into this. So you hear stuff like that, and then you see like the season 1 update, and you're like, that kind of feels like I need to only play this game.
You're saying one thing and doing another.
Exactly. A lot of that I think
that's concerning.
A lot of that I think came from when people, same thing, rushed through the game, did everything, maxed out all the zones, hit level 100. They're like, well, now what? Right. And now they're waiting for season 1 because it's Blizzard Activision, right? So they're like, there's good seasons pass. I need it right now. I need it day 2 of release because I've already done everything day 1.
Yeah.
You're like, you could go do something else for a day, like go mow your lawn or go.
There are other games.
Yeah. There's other things to do in life. Come back. Season 1 is coming, but like chill out.
Yeah. Patience.
Yes.
All right. So I think that's a good point to take a bit of a break from our Diablo deep dive here. Mostly because I want to talk.
What's new?
Go figure.
And with that, we are going to jump into the very first dad review of season 5. Dad review. Just to reiterate for people that haven't joined us or are joining us new and haven't ever experienced a dad review, what goes on in dad reviews? I am busy. I have 2 kids. I don't necessarily have a lot of time to play games. But when I do, I want things that respect my time, things that I can play either mobile while I'm sitting on the toilet for 10 minutes of peace and quiet, or ones that I can play for short stints and can jump in and out of fairly easily. This week falls into the latter category, where I'll be talking about Rogue Legacy 2, which came out on the PS Plus as a free game in July. And it is the sequel to one of my favorite Steam games that I played the absolute shit out of. And actually, I think I played it both on PC and PS4.
Wow.
It's a roguelike platformer RPG where every time you die, the next person in your lineage takes your place. And with that, they have different qualities. They could have giganticism. They could only see in black and white. They could be a vampire. They could have different classes to them too. And it really makes for a fun game where no playthrough is ever the same, because it's always different. It's always changing. There's something new that you have to deal with. The itemization in the second one is crazy. There's so many different ways you can play it. Right now, I think I've only passed the first boss because it's it's extensive. I mean, meanwhile, I've watched some like speedrunners beat the whole game in 40 minutes, and I'm like,
what?
Of course.
How, bro?
Yeah.
But I've put probably like 15 to 20 hours into this game so far.
Oh wow.
And I've enjoyed a lot of it. It's easy to pick up. You can play a couple run throughs with, you either progress or you get enough money so you can upgrade yourself a bit more. Every time you upgrade a certain skill or area, it builds a little bit more of your castle. And you can actually see that in the background as it's going. So you can, see the progress you've made essentially with the levels you've gained, which I find really fulfilling. It's like, oh my God, look at this big thing I made. But overall, I highly, highly recommend Rogue Legacy 2 if you're into platformers, RPGs, and don't have a ton of time on your hands.
Sweet.
Groovy.
Rogue Legacy 2.
Give it a go.
Give it a go. So, back to Diablo 4. I'm sure we could make like multiple episodes about this. We'll probably even jump back in later on once we start playing the seasonal stuff a bit more and go that way. But
we'll touch.
I want to know, like, looking at like things you really, really enjoyed about the game, where you hope that the game is going. Blizzard hasn't announced Diablo 5 yet, so we've probably got 20 years.
Yeah, I think we're a long ways away from that. Yeah.
If you think back though, Diablo 3 had 29 seasons.
Yeah.
Well, that came out in 2012?
Something like that.
Was when that launched?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, because it was like almost 20 years after Diablo 1 came out. Or Diablo 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so there's a lot of longevity with this game. And the fact that they kept supporting Diablo 3 that long, I mean, it's promising.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of what direction they take it and how concerning some of their microtransaction shit is.
Oh God.
I'm hoping they don't follow the route of Diablo Immortal, because that is microtransaction hell.
Yes.
Yeah. Diablo 4 right now seems to be cosmetic only.
Yep.
And currencies, I guess, which is fine.
Bit of inflation. It's a bit of inflation, but it's fine. Yeah.
I mean, but if I have to buy like nightmare sigils and shit like that down the line, like, to me the game is ruined at that point.
That would kill the game for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as it sticks to the cosmetic shit, buying like premium skins for characters or your horse, then whatever. I'm never gonna look at that section of the menu anyway. So like, it doesn't bother me. It's not gonna be an issue.
But have you looked at the prices of the skins?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's like $20-something Canadian for
$30 for one outfit.
Yeah,
we're talking about the publishers of Warzone here.
Yeah,
I mean, does this surprise anybody? Like, it shouldn't.
I just don't get I don't get who's in marketing who's like, this is what's going to get us. Like, you see those like graphs of like how many people will buy it versus the price of it, right? And there's that like magical zone. It's like, I don't get who's saying, he's like, yeah, if we set this at $30, a third of the cost of the game as a whole, people are going to buy tons of these things. I'm like, if they were $1, $2, I'd probably already have 10 of them, like straight up. Because some of them are sweet.
Yeah,
but it's like, when you're like, this digital thing is $30. I'm like, I understand someone spent time, they made it, but get fucked, right? Like Daryl's saying, right?
Suck just the biggest of dicks.
Yeah. and that's again, we've gone into this like ad nauseum about like microtransactions and how they're fucking evil, and preventing us from experiencing a full game where in the past it would be like, here's an unlock that you did based on this, and now you get this costume. Now it's like, money please.
Where's my tip?
Honestly, I think that I mean, no knock on like streamer culture and content creators, but I honestly do think it's those industries that have kind of ruined it a little bit, because you're now getting viewers that, they're watching like Tim the Tap Man or Dr. Disrespect, and like they're gifting these $20 and $30 skins to content creators. So like a lot of the time it's not even somebody buying it for themselves. They're buying it as a gift for somebody else. And so
creator codes
I think it's
and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's also weird.
It's just another form of affiliate marketing. That's all it is, right?
Yeah. Like, why do these guys need your donations?
Affirmation?
How they make
their living. Millionaires.
Well,
different topic.
For them to say your username.
Yeah, it's a different.
All right, we're going down a different
Let's get back to.
We'll just take that. We'll take that little section.
That princess is in a different castle.
Yeah.
It's not often Daryl gets us back on track here.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to Diablo and its skins.
I think let's talk about the positives, because we've shit on the game a lot, and I think listeners might assume that we actually don't like the game, and that's not the truth at all.
I love the game.
Yeah. We just like to be negative. We like to be negative first, positive second here. So
can you do the positive sandwich?
Hey, I think we've been like 50-50 so far, honestly.
It's true.
I'll give it that.
I honestly, Daryl kind of touched on it a little bit. I was very surprised at just how good the visuals are.
Oh my God.
A lot of times with isometric games, you lose a lot of like finer detail to the environments and the characters. And that's not the case in this game at all. Some of the environments are absolutely stunning. They do a really good job with like camera angles showing larger backdrops in certain areas, and kind of giving you a sense of scale that I think, especially in Diablo 3, it didn't have that.
No,
this game does a really good job with that.
And like,
the
ups
really
and
like
downs as well. Like you've also got like some verticality to stuff and traversal.
Yeah, not having to backtrack so far to like get to a new point, and you can like
jump,
climb a
climb
cliff
up and down. I
slide
love that.
down.
That's fantastic.
That's
what a great like quality of life upgrade.
Yeah.
Really like that.
I really appreciate the viewpoints that you can find throughout, because it gives some more like immensity to the whole thing, where you're like go on the edge of this cliff and you look out, you're like, oh shit,
that castle is huge.
We're going to the shit here.
It's also like appreciating the art, right? You're just like, someone spent time on this, right? It's just like, this is cool. Let's look at this really cool view of this thing that someone made.
I mean,
part of the character design and the map design and everything, like they did a phenomenal job. Demons look great. The landscape looks great. The like architecture is amazing. Like all of that stuff was done flawlessly.
I'm pretty sure I screenshot every single one of the viewpoints that I found. With my character in it.
They did such a good job with locations in this game that like I even texted you guys. I was playing a side mission or a side quest, and I was going through the underground chasm that was in the trailer, like the first CGI trailer that they showed for the game,
where they saw
like,
Lilith.
I was like, holy shit, I'm in this right now. And like it was just such a cool little thing that I never expected. And it's just, again, the level of detail in the environments and, some of the iconic things that they put in, they absolutely nailed that part. They did such a good job.
Yeah. I mean, they followed the classic Diablo. We've got all the sweet regions that are all super inspired by very specific places. We've got our Russia, we've got our Scotland, we've got our generic Middle Eastern, Egypt's kind of esque place. I do wish I'm hoping any DLC and stuff. I hope we spend more time in hell, like actual fire and brimstone,
hell.
like in hell, kind of like the end of the game. No spoilers. But yeah, like otherwise, like the regions and all the cool places that you go, like just phenomenal.
I really enjoyed boss fights too. I don't know about you guys,
they feel
but
bigger.
Yeah.
Well, they feel.
I think in 3 it was
more...
good too. Like a few of the fights in 3, I was pretty happy. Like your viewpoint changes and your like stuff like that. Like the capacity and sort of the brevity of fighting some of those demons in 3 I really liked. But I agree, like the boss fights in this one, there's a lot of movement and there's like
you actually have to pay attention and utilize your dodge button instead of just
it's a little bit more like WoW,
like tanking through it.
Yeah, they've got some more WoW mechanics in there of like dodge this thing. There's this area of effect attack, like you have to move.
Yeah.
Don't stand in the shit on the floor.
Oh god. My one gripe to Blizzard is everyone casts shit that goes on the floor. Can we pick a color, like a friendly fire color, so I know if I'm in a party that is theirs and not a bad person's pool of poison that's going to one-shot me, please.
Also, can we just get away from enemies that drop poison that sits there for 30 seconds every fucking time?
Oh my god, some of those nightmare dungeons with like poison specific guys.
The frost ones are the worst. But like this was something that came up a lot, especially when Trevor and I had kind of got to the point with our secondary characters that we were just playing by ourselves, and we were transversing through the story in the game. Was they've always done a good job of this at Blizzard, but like the cinematics in this game,
oh my god,
so
unbelievable!
Good. Yeah,
like they were astounding. Once you get closer to the end of the game, like the second last cinematic is one of the best things I've ever seen in a video game ever. Like my heart rate was going up. I was like getting excited about the next part. Like
it definitely riled me up because the first half of it is like shit they used in trailers. I was like, you motherfuckers, you're just gonna reuse this, and I'm not gonna and there's gonna be nothing else. I'm like, this is the worst. Like this is the worst climax ever. And then it just kept going for like another 3 minutes. Like this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, this game definitely gave me some StarCraft 2 vibes.
Yeah.
StarCraft 2 has some of the best in-game cinematics for a Blizzard game. And, some of the fights with like Lil Ith in the cinematics just look phenomenal. And it definitely, kind of made me think about those a little bit. But even just seeing your own character, like that was a cool change.
In the gear,
in gear, in cutscenes, talking, not just being like the Link silent character, just standing there. Like you felt like you were more involved in what was happening in this world, which was really nice.
Yeah. Like I don't know what happened with the whole World of Warcraft movie. Like that was completely shit and unnecessary. But like Blizzard, like if they were bored and they're like, hey guys, we're working on a new project, but we've got 10 years. It's like, make a fucking movie studio. Like make a CGI, honestly, like Pixar-esque, like adult, like Blizzard themed movie studio. And I would watch all of that.
I would watch a Diablo movie.
Diablo, StarCraft.
I would watch a World of Warcraft movie.
Oh.
I would watch StarCraft movie. I would watch like Diablo. I'd watch any of it. Their cinematics are the best.
Good. So good.
If they gave us a Castlevania style like Netflix show, like an animated series in Diablo,
oh boy,
take all my money.
Even just like
that'd be good too. But I'm with Trevor. It's like they've done such an amazing job with these things. It's like just go make a movie, go make a Warcraft movie using like just animation CGI, like just
don't live act.
That's it.
Just
don't live act. No. Just make it the way that it looks like in the games, and just make a whole film of that, and you will like they would make millions.
Yeah, I don't care if this dude's shoulder armor is out here. Like I don't care how goofy he looks. If that's the character, like, design him that way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Give me a 10-part series about Kerrigan. Like,
yes,
yes, please.
Okay, but like imagine that as like with the Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah,
how that has been so successful.
Yeah.
imagine doing that with any one of the Blizzard, like the major Blizzard IPs.
Yeah, this is
be
like
awesome.
it's the same thing.
Money.
It would
Yeah,
be
Like just
People would jump
it's
all
meant
over
to be animated. It's like it's
yes.
that. Yeah.
it's
Yes.
not meant to be real live acted, which is like they tried. Good for them for trying. Warcraft was a flop, but
Well,
There's some good
animation
moments
is so
in it,
good
but-
just for like sense of scale and like larger than life characters. That's
Totally,
why
and the things you
animation
can do with
exists,
it.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
anyhow,
I agree.
Cinematics.
Take my money.
Cinematics
in Diablo
great.
4, incredible.
Yes.
So good.
Yes.
So looking forward to the season now that we're jumping into it in tomorrow.
Tomorrow-ish.
Tomorrow.
Daryl, what are you playing for season 1?
Well, I have
And
like this-
why?
Okay. Actually, it's still kind of undecided between two, but I played Rogue with you guys, and I played Necromancer a lot on my own. So I'm going big this time. So I'm going to play either Barb or Druid this go around. I want to be a little bit more of a tank this time around, a little less squishy than the Rogue.
Good luck with the new patch, but
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to try a heavy hitter. I'm leaning towards the Barbarian, but
Yeah. I think
Trevor,
you'd
what are you
enjoy that
playing?
play style.
I think I got to go with the Blizzard favorite. I think I got to go with the Necromancer because I just feel like every time they're going to edit stuff, they're just gonna be like, the Necromancer's so cool. Let's just buff him. Like that's
Let's just make those
Yeah.
corpses explode.
let's just make them better, right? You're just like, okay, I'll go with the Necromancer. So
I think you need to name your Necromancer Magnitude
pop.
and play him as corpse explosion only. Just pop.
pop. Should we call him Pringles?
Jordan, what are you gonna play?
I'm kind of with Trev. Like right now, I'm leaning towards Necro. I think that was my initial character with you guys in Diablo 3 when we all started playing again.
Yep.
I absolutely love that play style and the character. So I'll probably do that one, but the Rogue is something that it's never typically my thing. And just seeing in Diablo 4 what it can do and a lot of the abilities that it has, I might go out of my comfort zone a little bit and give it a shot for the season, just to mix things up.
Yeah,
because like the Druid for me I'm generally not magic or sorcerer type characters in these games, and the Druid for me was like that perfect in between, still brutish and tanky, but I could still do some cool magic shit too. So I feel like, the sorcerer, I would just be kind of retreading similar ground.
Fair.
So yeah, Necro or Rogue I'm on the fence right now.
nice.
Kyle.
I'm going Rogue. I played one for a bit. Just like I have like a Necro that's like 30 something, and I tried a Rogue for a bit just out of curiosity, and it was really enjoying like the stabby stab. So I want to jump in on that more, and I feel like the season's a good place to restart it. So that's the way I'm going. And
Nice.
just I can't decide though if I'm gonna go all stabby or if I'm gonna go bows.
Just wait until someone makes a build and tells you the build you have to be successful.
Yeah, basically.
right.
Yeah, this is the meta. You have no
you got me.
choice.
Yeah. I am hopeful though.
So,
after because
yes,
it took Diablo 3, 5, somewhere between season 5 and 10 to really like sort
Hit into its
sort
stride.
their shit
Yeah,
out.
find its legs.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
am hopeful
think
for the future of Diablo
Yeah.
4.
this is
Yeah, I
definitely
am too.
starting from a better place. We don't have in the
Way
era of
better.
making money, there's no real money auction house.
Oh
There's
my God,
that was
such a mess.
So it's like we're starting from a better place.
And the servers did really well.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
Yeah.
I never lost
they-
any progression.
I never had
or
any
anything.
connection
They-
issues.
The betas that they ran were like extensive as far as that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure one of their betas was even called the Server Slam.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
was.
Just
Yeah.
to see how many people they could get in. and like push the servers on the stress test. So
Because that's been a problem for lots of the Call of Duties and things like that. So everything else. So that's another really impressive feat for them at the launch of this game was to have that server survivability.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't have any issues really at launch with like dropped servers or lost characters or anything like that. So yeah, kudos to them. Whatever they did this time around definitely seemed to work for sure.
Yeah, everybody else take note.
Yeah.
I am curious though with season 1 just around the corner here. When do we think we see other characters? Is that because they've never done like the season pass thing?
Yeah.
So like, are they going to incorporate those characters into that, or are they going to stick it with expansions?
I think
it'll be a DLC.
I thought they were still.
I think it'll be DLC.
Yeah,
as well.
like the Necro in Diablo 3. I thought they were still going to just at some point do a $30 something DLC, and then add
give
story.
it a year to 2 years.
Ugh.
I was gonna say I don't expect it till season 3, 4, 5, kind of somewhere in there.
Yeah,
like maybe later.
Yeah.
Potentially later.
They've
I don't know how long
thought
a
it out
season
more.
is for this one.
I feel like they've thought it out more in advance this time, so I'm hoping it's a bit sooner because like the Necro took a while in Diablo 3. That extra expansion took a long ass time.
Yeah,
it did.
I mean, I was a bit disappointed that they only had 5 classes to start with for this one, but maybe the DLC will have 2.
Maybe they'll surprise us.
Hopeful.
I just think with the changes to like the season pass thing, as well as like how much longevity Diablo 3 showed, I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we're 5 years down the road, like I think Diablo 4 is going to have a ton of new characters, and I think there's going to be a lot of content that we're not expecting, just because they understand just how much money is there if they keep this as almost like a live service game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity to, and even just like, hey, the Crusader for $10,
Return of the Monk.
Oh yeah, the monk. That was it. I was like, who's the other character?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Has anyone-
I want something
in the
brand
future
new.
for sure.
Yeah.
Like
brand
that's
new
what I was kind of
character
hoping. It was
would
like I
be
want a
more
brand new
exciting.
class that they've never had. Give me something.
Something strange.
Yeah.
Give me like a shield. Give me like a shield maiden or something. That would be cool.
Like a Viking,
like a
kind of
Viking
character.
lady.
Oh,
Valkyrie or
Viking
something?
style would be really cool.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be kind
I
of.
like it.
Has
I
anyone?
like
So
it a
we're
lot.
we're a
So-
day away. Sorry,
oh.
we're a day away from the update. Has anybody seen what the season pass actually looks like at this point? Do we know?
No,
Interesting.
I haven't looked
No,
into it.
I
We're
haven't
gonna have to
seen
do some. We
tiers
might have to do an update later.
It's a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you had to score it, we'll start with Trevor. If you had to score it out of 10, what are we starting at right now?
I'm gonna give it like a hopeful 8.
Ooh.
Like there's a
hopeful 8.
like if you're a casual gamer, like it can be a bit grindy, but there is a fuck ton to do. Like you are getting your money's worth for content. Like you will have many hours of gameplay. It might hurt and suck sometimes, but there's a lot to do. There's still progression. There's a character class kind of for everybody right now. So like starting at an 8, and I'm just hoping that they fix some of the stuff, balance it, and then in the future just it's a game that if you haven't played it for like 2 years or whatever, you're like, this is so much better now.
All right, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm probably sitting at a 9 for me. Like I really enjoyed my time with it so far. I'm probably 55 to 60 hours in, and
God damn.
like Trevor mentioned it, there's so much content that I haven't even touched yet. I think I'm level 63, so like I've still got a long way to go to hit that level 100. So I'd sit at a 9. I think the game is super polished out of the gates. I think it does get some knocks for not being very very accessible for new players, and leaning a little too much into the meta stuff. But the core gameplay that's there and the core story and everything it's so good that yeah, I think a 9 is where I'm at.
Now I'm gonna split between the two of you. As someone that hasn't been able to jump in as much, I feel it's an 8.5 right now. I'm very, again, hopeful, like Trevor, for how it's going to turn if my experience from Diablo 3 shows anything. But it's a Diablo game. I'm gonna play the shit out of it. We know this.
Yeah.
I hope that they still remember that they are trying to engage a customer and not just take as much money from a consumer as possible. You know,
Yeah.
like there are people that this is a near and dear series to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I just hope that they don't lose sight of that in the interest of money.
Yeah. It's a video game, not a casino.
Yeah. Yeah.
Daryl, you want to take us home with the last one?
Yeah. I'm right around the same area. I would say I'm an 8.5 to 9. I have put in over 130 hours into the game already. So just for play, like just for the amount of, I took my sweet time with the Necromancer. I really wanted to get into everything. I've done every side quest I possibly can that I didn't like. Once I finished the story, I realized like you can't go back and do certain side quests. You've lost the chance to talk to certain NPCs and things like that. So I have spent a lot of time going through the finer components of the game, explored the entire map, got all the Lilith statues. I've done all that stuff. So I'm probably closer to a 9 just for the fact that I have enjoyed it enough to play it that much. And the pros, obviously I shit on it quite a bit there with the cosmetic coin purchases we brought up. The Paragon board just pisses me off. And the focus on only letting the true metagamer be successful in the latest stages of the game are kind of my gripes. But the pros far outweigh the cons in the overall scheme of the game. So like the combat, the gear, the cinematics, the map, the interaction with everything, that puts this game way, way up. And just for me, it's one of those games where I'm playing with my friends and I'm enjoying playing with my friends. So that carries a lot of weight for me. So that puts it up. Yeah, that puts it up to a 9. I think
4-player co-op.
We love you too, buddy. Oh my god, 4-player co-op.
Yeah, no more 3-player co-op, people. What is that shit? Get that out of here.
And on that note, I think that first episode of season 5, I would call it good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough.
Good.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content. We invite you to write us an email, DM us, join us on our Discord server to talk about anything from our episodes or something that you want us to discuss in the future. Please make sure you subscribe to Good Enough Gaming Podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and make sure to give us a 5 stars because we're 5-star kind of guys. And remember, we might not be great, but we are good enough.